Hello guys, this video is to talk about linear inequalities, explaining you how to solve linear inequalities. So one thing to know here is, a couple of things to know is that whenever we talk about linear inequalities or inequalities, what we mean is that we won't have equal sign like in equations. So we'll have either sign like this, less than or greater than, for which I'm saying, and I want to say now, anytime you have less than or greater than, like strict inequalities like this, what you have to remember is that you need to make sure you use parentheses, okay? And what that means is that you're not accepting the values. Remember, this is not saying that it's equal. It's saying it's less than or greater than. So you're not accepting those values. So you have to use parentheses, okay? And also on infinity, so this is for these signs here, less than or greater than. Also on infinity, and I'm saying positive infinity or negative infinity, you have to use parentheses, okay? And what it means is that, again, you cannot accept infinity. For example, for the first one here, if you have x is, let's say, less than 2. Now, x is less than 2. Obviously, you have to, if you use the number line and you put 2 here, now x less than 2, that means you're going to pick values less than 2 on the left of 2. And what it means is that you know that on the left you have negative infinity, positive infinity on the number line. So if it's less than 2, you're on the left of 2. So to write an interval notation in this case, it will be, for this one here, x less than 2, it will be from negative infinity to 2. And you have to use parentheses on negative infinity, okay? And also on 2, because on 2 here, remember it's less than and it's not equal, it's less than. So it's an open circle, or you could just say you use parentheses. Either you put open circle here or you put parentheses. It's fine. Either way. Okay, so you have to understand those. So again, if it's less than or greater than, like strict inequality without the equal sign, then you know automatically you have to use a parenthesis, okay? And if it's if it's on infinity and positive infinity, negative infinity, you do the same thing. You have to use parentheses, okay? Now, if it's something like if it's less than or equal, let me change this a little, or greater than or equal. Now in this case, you have to use bracket, okay? You use bracket in this case, either close or open depending on what you're doing, okay? So for example, if you have x greater than or equal to -3, a number line for this, just for you to understand this, okay, by the way. A number line in this case, put your -3 here. Now it's greater than or equal, so that means it's a closed circle, or you can use bracket, but it's or equal. So you gotta take greater than, by the way. So it has to be on the right of it here, all the way to positive infinity. Now, what I'm saying is you gotta put as the interval notation, it has to be from -3 to positive infinity. Now from -3, you have to use bracket. From to positive infinity, parentheses, okay? So understand this, on infinity, you always use parentheses. And if it's greater than or equal or less than or equal, use bracket on that number. Okay? So this is key. This is what to understand first. Then after you get that, you move on to, you can actually solve problems. Okay? So let's solve a problem together here. Okay, so again, you have to understand this concept before you try to solve actual problems. Okay, so let's see if we can do something here. Solve a problem. Let me erase this here to have more space. Okay, and okay, so let's try to solve this one. It says solve the inequality. So we're gonna try to solve. Okay, so we're gonna solve, and we have negative 6 x minus 3. So negative 6 x minus 3 greater than or equal to 2. So 2 minus 2 times x minus 8. Okay, so this is it right here. So this is just as if you had an equation, guys. What you do, you would have to do whatever you have to do, then combine like terms, multiply, subtract, whatever you have to do. Then you get to the answer. So that's the same thing we're going to try to do here. Okay, but we're going to keep a couple of things in mind. I'm going to keep teaching you as I solve this problem, because I think that's the best way to teach, by the way. Okay, so first thing you see here on the left of the inequality sign, I can actually distribute 6. Okay, I can distribute. So I have negative 6x plus 18, because that's negative 6 times negative 3. Okay. Then greater than or equal to 2, and I'll distribute here as well. Minus 2x plus 16. Okay. All right. Then now I can combine like terms on the left, on the right, I'm saying. Okay, so negative 6x plus 18 greater than or equal to 2 plus 16 is, so I can put negative 2x first, then 2 plus 16 is 18. So plus 18, okay, plus 18. All right, so now I'm going to try to move things over to the, trying to isolate the variable. So meaning that I can actually add 2x to both sides, because to get rid of the negative 2x here, I have to add. To get rid of a subtraction, you add. To get rid of an addition, you subtract. So in this case, I have to add. Okay, so now once I do that, I will end up with negative 4x, negative 6x plus 2x, negative 4x plus 18 greater than or equal to, this is canceled out, so only 18 remains, right? Then from here, I have to isolate the 18, right? Don't want it here, so I'm gonna have to subtract 18 from this side here. Then I'll end up with negative 4x, 18 is canceled out, greater than or equal to 0. Okay, all right, greater than or equal to 0. Now I have to divide by negative 4 because I want x by itself. Obviously, anytime you divide by a negative number when it comes to inequality, you have to change this sign here. Okay, so it has to be less than now because I'm dividing by negative 4. And I'm going to put it here, colored, so you guys could see. Negative 4x 0 divided by negative 4, I'm saying. Okay? So that's why I'm saying if you divide by a negative number or multiply by a negative number, you got to switch the sign here. That's why it was greater than or equal. Now it's less than or equal. Anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number, okay? Now, from here, I have positive x now less than or equal to 0. 0 divided by negative 4. So positive x less than or equal to 0. Okay? Now, this written in interval notation, remember what I told you to start. So in interval notation, this will be, now, if you can't see it, you can draw your little number line here. Just to picture it, okay? You know, negative infinity is on the left, positive infinity on the right. So what do you have to use when you have less than or equal? If it's equal, if you have an equal, so less than or equal in this case, you have to use bracket, okay? Remember, less than, it's on the left, and you gotta use bracket here, okay? Bracket. So, you know, your answer will be from negative infinity. As you can see, I'm using parentheses on negative infinity, as I told you to start when I started this video here, all the way to 0, right? All the way to 0, and use bracket on 0, okay? So very easy, negative infinity to 0, very easy again. Okay, so this is interval notation. Now there's another way to present the answer, which is set builder notation. So this is one way. Set builder notation would be something like this, like saying x such that, and you put the answer, okay? X is less than or equal to 0. So for set builder notation, you actually define your answer, or you don't just give the answer, but you give x. It's as if you're defining x, okay? You say your answer will be x such that that x will be less than 0, less than or equal to 0, okay? So that's also, again, remember, you gotta know when to use bracket, when to use parentheses, when to close bracket, when to open bracket. So everything you have to remember here. And again, another key here is that whenever you divide or multiply by a negative number, you gotta switch the sign. You gotta switch the sign. If it's less than, it's gonna be greater than. If it was greater than, it will be less than. Okay? Remember that. Thank you.